This October, Thorpe Park Resort Fright Nights will be returning, and there will be 5 brand new horrifying live action experiences, along with the return of 2 previous fan favourite attractions. This is Theme Park Realm News, and today we're looking at all of the latest information surrounding Thorpe Park Fright Nights 2020. Now, of course, due to the recent pandemic and all of the social distancing rules, many attractions have either had to cancel their Halloween events altogether or completely rethink them, and Thorpe Park Resort is no exception. This year they have completely changed the lineup for Fright Nights, and it certainly does look interesting, and I'm very excited to see how this all turns out and plays out when the resort opens Fright Nights this year in October 2020. Now, the first major change that you'll see for this year is Fright Nights is actually going to be called Fright Nights Fearstival. Now, I feel like they've changed the name just to reflect the fact that this event is very different to the usual lineup that they would have, and obviously it just kind of reflects the fact that they've had to refresh quite a few different things, and it is going to be, almost a different atmosphere to what we've had previously. But again, it's certainly very interesting, and the lineup sounds really good, and I really like what they've done with the whole thing, to be honest. So, of course, Fright Nights Fearstival will be running for selected dates throughout October 2020. I would recommend going ahead, checking out the Thorpe Park website if you are planning on visiting. And of course, do make sure that you do book tickets well in advance for this event, because they are very likely to sell out very quickly. Now, the very first and one of the biggest changes for this year, of course, is going to be the scare zones. Now, many of the other previous years' mazes have either been changed into scare zones or they've been replaced by brand new scare zones altogether. So the very first scare zone is the Fearstival Arena. Now, this scare zone, like many of the other scare zones, will be open from 3 PM during Fright Nights, and it's actually going to be located in the dockyard, so just near to where Derren Brown's ghost train is. So from what I've read on the website, I think the kind of theme that they're going with for this is some sort of festival. Maybe there's going to be a band. The band are going to be like the zombies or whatever, what you like. And I feel like that's kind of the sort of atmosphere that they're going for with this one. So it's certainly quite an interesting thing, and I do, I'm very excited to find out, exactly what this is going to look like when it's actually, open and ready. And, with a lot of these things, I do really like scare zones. Obviously, all of these scare zones, they're all free, so they're included in your entry to the park, which obviously is fantastic. And I really do, feel like scare zones really add to the atmosphere around the park as well. So that's really good as well to hear. Now, next up is another brand new scare zone for 2020, the Howling of Lysonthorpe High. Now, again, this scare zone is open from 3 PM, same as all the other ones. This one's actually going to be located opposite the cantina in the park, again included, of course, with your entry. The description for this one is you're invited to the Howling of Lysonthorpe High, and they're back on the hunt for new recruits, but be warned, their bite is worse than their bark. So with this one, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be going for with this. Maybe, again, some sort of high school theme similar to Terror at Amity High. Maybe something along those lines. But again, it's going to be very interesting to see what this looks like when we start to see construction for it, hopefully over the next few weeks. The Swarm Invasion is going to be the next scare zone. Again, this one is located on the Swarm Island. I'm actually particularly interested to see what this one's going to be all about. Obviously, it's going to be on the Swarm Island next to the Swarm. We don't, again, know that much information about it at the moment, but basically, after dark, after 3 PM, same as all the other ones, there's going to be some sort of scare zone actually on the Swarm Island. Now, personally, I've always really liked the Swarm as a ride, and I think, the whole area is really well themed, so I'm really excited to see what they actually do with that. Now, on the concept art as well, which is interesting, the actual Swarm is that the back 2 rows of the Swarm are actually facing backwards. Now, I don't know if you remember, but quite a few years ago, they actually reverted some of the rows on the Swarm to face backwards, and they called it the Swarm Brave It Backwards. So whether or not they've just recycled that concept art, or the actual Swarm is going to be turned backwards again, I don't know. The description of this is a scare zone, so it is separate from the ride itself, from what I can tell on the website. But it's quite interesting. If you go on the website, have a look at the concept art, and you'll see that the back rows are actually switched round. Again, it could be nothing, or it could be something, who knows. But it's great to see, they're actually going to be bringing something that does involve the Swarm, because I do absolutely love the theme of the Swarm and of the whole of the Swarm Island. Now, another brand new scare zone for 2020 is Creek Freaks Unchained. Now, of course, last year we had the brand new Creek Freak Massacre scare maze. It's located in the old former Loggers Leap building. Obviously, they redid all of that, put all this massive scare zone in there. And it seems that for this year, they're not actually going to be able to be running that scare zone, the scare maze. You know, like many of the other mazes, there's just no room to do social distancing at all. So they've actually had to remove that. Now, I would expect that the original Creek Freak Massacre will be returning probably next year, but for this year, Creek Freak has been turned into an actual scare zone. So of course it's going to be located in Old Town, and the description for this one is: the Creek have hacked their way out of Creek Woods, a sawmill, and are now wreaking havoc on the town. So obviously it's going to be probably around the same building. They're all sort of going to be coming out of there. I'm sure there's going to be chainsaws, all sorts of stuff. So that's, again, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with that. But again, I'm very excited to see an actual scare zone based on that scare maze, because that scare maze is really highly rated, really highly thought of as well. So hopefully the scare zone will also live up to that hype. Terror at Amity High is also going to be returning for 2020. Again, another scare zone that we've seen in previous years. It's being brought back. Normally located outside Stealth. It does say it's going to be located in the exact same place again this year. Basically, it's a stage. They do regular shows. I think they were doing it sort of every hour, every half an hour last year, depending on what day you actually went. But yeah, it's great to see that's been returning. It was another kind of fan favourite. Everyone really enjoyed that, so it's great to see that one's going to be coming back. Of course, you've got the stage for that in front of Stealth, but then they do also come off the stage and roam round the whole of the Stealth area as well. So that's it for the scare zones. Of course, another attraction that's going to be returning for 2020. Again, this isn't a new attraction, but the Screenplex Cinema is also going to be returning for this year, which of course is located in the former, what is the Angry Birds 4D Experience Cinema. It'll be located in there. Of course, there's going to be some terrifying short films playing in there, so it'll be interesting to see what they do play at there. And that Screenplex Cinema will be open again from 3 PM onwards. Now, another thing this year, which is actually new for 2020, is there's going to be some new roaming actors called the Crows. Again, we're not quite sure what this is exactly, but these actors are going to be appearing at various locations around Thorpe Park after 3 PM, so that's certainly going to be very interesting to see exactly what that'll entail. But yeah, it's nice to see that they've got some roaming actors going around the actual island as well. We've seen things like that previously, in like Alton Towers and stuff like that. It always works. They've always got kind of like roaming actors and stuff like that. So it's great to see that they're going to be doing that in Thorpe Park as well. And again, I'm very excited to see what they will actually do with that and how that'll work. And finally, onto the scare mazes. Now, as I said earlier, there isn't unfortunately that many scare mazes this year for obvious reasons, but they're actually bringing back Platform 15. Again, that's been there now in previous years. Coming back, I believe at the moment it's already constructed. I think they just leave that constructed all year. So of course that one's going to be coming back. And then we've also got a scare maze called Roots of Evil. Unearth the horrors that lurk within the Forsaken Forest. This one is going to be located opposite the jungle. And that is presumably going to be using the old Blair Witch Project route, but we're not 100% sure, but we assume that's where that one's actually going to be located for this year. Again, those two scare mazes, they're both opening from 3 PM. Now, it's worth noting that the scare mazes this year are actually going to be paid for, so you are going to need to get an additional ticket. So it's going to be £10 per scare maze is what we're seeing at the moment. I don't know if they're going to do a combined ticket. They may very well bring one of those out, but at the moment, as far as we're aware, it's going to be £10 per scare maze for those two scare mazes. But I mean, if I'm being honest, 2 scare mazes, that's £20 extra, and everything else is free. And obviously, they've got to do their best to kind of limit the capacity and stuff like that and get things moving, with all of the social distancing. So I really don't think that's too bad. There's a lot of people that are unhappy about that, but personally, I don't think it's that bad. But please do leave your thoughts in the comments down below, because I'd be interested to hear what other people think about those upcharges on those mazes. But yeah, it certainly is a fantastic lineup this year. Again, I really like all of the sort of concept images, the logos that we've got for these new scare mazes. It does look really good. So yeah, again, it's going to be selected dates throughout October, so do go and check the Thorpe Park website and have a look at the dates on there. Again, like I said earlier, you really do need to make sure that you pre-book well in advance for these scare for the Fright Nights, because obviously with the limited capacity this year, it is difficult sometimes to get tickets, especially if you're trying to do that sort of at last minute. So definitely plan your visit, get the tickets booked. Again, you know, tickets can be booked in advance for this for £42. That's if you don't have an annual pass. If you've got an annual pass, make sure you check the website. Of course, there are exclusion dates. Normally, if you've got a standard Merlin annual pass or a standard Thorpe Park annual pass, you won't be able to get in on like weekends or anything like that. So you do need to double check the dates on your annual pass as well, or on your season pass. And of course, with season passes and annual passes, you'll need to pay the pre-booking fee, which currently is £1 as well. So do make sure that you do double check all of that. But yeah, it's certainly very exciting. Please, again, do let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching.